All right. So I am live. You know, I I'm sure I can do do a little crawl before this. I'm gonna start with my song, my spoken word song. Let's make America objective again, and then actually I'll do self talker. No, I'll do let me see. Yeah, let's make America objective again. Here we go.
Let's make America objective again. We're smack in the middle of what they call the information age, but with all the censorship and clamor, it doesn't always feel like it. People these days seem quick to take offense. Maybe they've always been that way, but it's like everyone's tiptoeing around instead of standing firm. Here's my take. Let's make America objective again. And the best part, it doesn't start with some big shot proclamation. It starts with you right where you are. Step one is simple, talk to folks. Better yet, listen, really listen to what they've got to say. There's an old truth in this. You'll win more people over by showing interest in them than by trying to make them interested in you. Ask questions, hear their side, and let them know you're paying attention. Then toss your own thoughts into the ring and see if they'll give you an ear too. If they do, you're onto something. A real back and forth. If they don't, no harm done. Tip your hat, flash a smile, and say thanks anyway. Why thank them? Because they've just spared you the headache of arguing with a brick wall. No sense wasting breath on someone glued to their own ideas. Move on and find folks who'll meet you halfway. That's your starting line. Listen, share, and sort out who's willing next. Seek out the real ones, people who aren't just spouting lines or playing for applause, but who actually want to dig into ideas and chase the truth. When you find someone genuine, someone who'll speak their mind and still hear you out, that's a keeper. Stick with it, and before long you'll have a crew, an army even of folks ready to talk, ready to listen, and ready to reason together. That's the heart of making America objective again. It's not about shutting anyone down or winning every fight. It's about slicing through the touchy feuds and getting back to where ideas can duke it out in the open, fair and square. People want to feel understood, give them that, and you'd be surprised how many start wanting the truth too. Start small, start with you and watch it spread. One good talk at a time, we can steer this thing back on course. And making America objective again. And the best part, it doesn't start with some big shot proclamation. It starts with you, right where you are. Step one is simple, talk to folks. Better yet, listen, really listen to what they've got to say. There's an old truth in this. You'll win more people over by showing interest in them than by trying to make them interested in you. Ask questions, hear their side, and let them know you're paying attention. Then toss your own thoughts into the ring and see if they'll give you an ear too. If they do, you're onto something. A real back and forth. If they don't, no harm done. Tip your hat, flash a smile, and say thanks anyway. Why thank them? Because they've just spared you the headache of arguing with a brick wall. No sense wasting breath on someone glued to their own ideas. Move on and find folks who'll meet you halfway. That's your starting line. Listen, share, and sort out who's willing next. Seek out the real ones, people who aren't just spouting lines or playing for applause, but who actually want to dig into ideas and chase the truth. When you find someone genuine, someone who'll speak their mind and still hear you out, that's a keeper. Stick with it, and before long you'll have a crew, an army even of folks ready to talk, ready to listen, and ready to reason together. That's the heart of making America objective again. It's not about shutting anyone down or winning every fight. It's about slicing through the touchy feuds and getting back to where ideas can duke it out in the open, fair and square. People want to feel understood, give them that, and you'd be surprised how many start wanting the truth too. Start small, start with you and watch it spread. One good talk at a time, we can steer this thing back on course.
Right now, the stock market took a huge. I don't know if I want to get profane, but I would say, man, it really, the bears are running, and I don't know how these tariffs are going to work out. And it is frightening because it does hurt the old portfolio. And people can lose a lot of money on this type of thing. And there are some people who say, that these tariffs are, what do they call it? They are that it's I guess one word is it's a response to the tariffs that are done to them. So I guess I don't know the exact word, but it's off the tip of my tongue. But I guess it's a response to tariffs that are done to them. However, again, I don't know how good this will be for Americans' overall lives, and I'm rather a novice when it comes to economics, but I know that the establishment is really going heavy on against Trump's tariffs, and just because the establishment likes it or doesn't like it doesn't mean that the establishment is wrong in this case. I will say that often the establishment is very egocentric, and Trump is also rather egocentric. The thing of it is that they both lie, and they are both, again, rather egocentric, and they are motivated by their ego instead of talking to people. Let me see what we have here. Oh, now I can't even say the darn word. I know the word reciprocal. They are reciprocal tariffs. So they're doing what's done to them, kind of like reciprocity. And is this a good thing or is it reckless? I don't know. I know that there are a few economics and a few pundits who don't agree with it. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of politicians who are railing against it, but they showed instances where they were in favor of tariffs and now they're not, and it's more of hatred against Trump. And again, the egocentric are not going to go into the arms of the egocentric, and if, again, both sides do not seem very objective. I will say this: the right does seem more willing to listen and less willing to engage in violence or canceling somebody for something that they didn't like. And people say, well, the right once did cancel culture. I don't think they did it in quite the same way that the left does it. And this comes out of college. And this really took strength in the late 80s with political correctness. And it's continued to gain strength within the business world. And they do kind of a two-pronged attack, which is they shut you down online, but if you go and speak, they will use violence against you. I recall there were, and this was even in the 2010s, 2015. They had I believe, a protest in Leimert Park about immigration, and they basically they got their permit, but they told the people there that there was a likelihood of violence that was going to happen from the counter protesters. And if you arrested them, they were also likely to sue the police. So they basically used the law to both law and business wranglings to both hurt your speech, whether it is online or in person, and they are really taking away your rights. And you cannot be objective when you allow for violence and you are not acknowledging the violence that the left does promote. And that's basically what I'm seeing is they promote violence, and many of our establishment institutions seem to look the other way when the left does violence. And again, I'm not blind to these things. I'm not, there are so many people that are when you talk to people on the left side, they either seem very ignorant, but to a degree, I think that deep down they support what's being done, and they support the right to do these things. I'm going to play a little song, Self-Talker, and I'm going to look up a few things, and I think it's going to be a rather short show today, and hopefully, like I said, we can be objective again. I think the best way to make America and the Western world objective is to bring back the information superhighway and have a place where people can openly talk. And those that are offended don't have to listen. Here we go with a little play. Self-Talker.
He's an external self-stalker, doesn't just talk to himself, he narrates. Walking down the hallway, he's giving live commentary, making eggs. It's a cooking show and he's the only one watching. It's not mindfulness, it's content creation for an audience of one. He calls it processing, I call it trail of breadcrumbs for the prosecution. He once said out loud, gotta stay hydrated, then looked around to see if anyone was impressed. He's not talking to himself, he's leaving a voicemail for the version of him that never picks up. Me, I keep it in, my thoughts are on a need-to-know basis. He performs, I applaud.
All right. And I'll go back to Donald Trump's tariff policies announced as part of a second term starting in 2025 have sparked intense debate amongst economists. These policies include a 10% baseline tariff on all imports with higher rates is up to 50% on specific countries like China, Mexico, and others aimed at boosting U.S. manufacturing and reducing trade deficits. Here are what top economists are saying about whether these tariffs will be bad for the economy based on their analysis and their potential impacts. Now, I know that in the beginning, I believe in the beginning of the Depression, Herbert Hoover started his tariffs, and economists begged him not to. And the belief is amongst economists is that this exacerbated the Great Depression. I do believe, however, the difference between, and I could be absolutely wrong on this, so bear with me, but I believe the difference in Herbert Hoover's economy and Donald Trump's economy, or the economy of the 30s and the economy of 2025, is that America had a stronger manufacturing base. But there are people who believe, the ghost of Herbert Hoover is coming again, and he's going to exacerbate the downturn of the economy, and we could face ourselves into a recession and, God forbid, a Great Depression. That would be horrible. So many prominent economists argue that Trump's tariffs could harm the U.S. economy. And I don't know how to say his name, Joseph Stiglitz, a Nobel laureate from Columbia University, has warned, and they will almost surely be inflationary and could slow economic growth, hurting both the U.S. And global economics. He suggests that higher costs from imported goods will raise prices for consumers and disrupt supply chains, potentially offsetting any benefits from tax cuts Trump might impose. Similarly, Marcus Nolan from the Peterson Institute for International Economics predicts that the tariffs will depress U.S. economic growth and increase inflation, especially if other countries retaliate, which they have, by the way, with their own tariffs, which could strain international relations and trade flows. A survey by the University of Chicago in 2024 found that 98% of respected economists agreed that tariffs are largely borne by domestic consumers through price increases, not foreign producers, contradicting Trump's claim that they won't cost Americans. The Tax Foundation, a nonpartisan think tank, estimates that the tariffs could reduce U.S. after-tax income by 0.9% on average, amounting to over $1,900 per household in 2025, with even greater losses if retaliation occurs. They argue that while protected industries like steel might see short-term gains, the broader economy suffers from reduced output and higher costs across sectors that rely on imports. Studies from Trump's first term, 2017-2020, reinforce this. The U.S.-China Business Council estimated that his earlier tariffs cost 200,045 jobs, and consumers paid 180 over 180,000 per job created in washing machine industry due to higher prices. Economists like Antonio Fatas from INSEAD warn of a possible U.S. recession if tariffs persist, citing reduced consumer spending and business investment amid uncertainty. On the other hand, a minority of economists and Trump supporters see potential benefits. Jeff Ferry from the Coalition for a Prosperous America argues that tariffs could boost U.S. industry by encouraging domestic production, though he's an outlier among mainstream economists. The White House, citing a 2024 study, claims Trump's first-term tariffs strengthened the U.S. economy by reshoring manufacturing jobs, with Economic Policy Institute noting improved zeal, output, and investment post-2018 tariffs. Trump's team, including advisor Peter Navarro, assessed that tariffs addressing national emergency are trade imbalancing, predicting long-term gains in jobs and self-reliance, even if short-term distribution occurs. Vice President J.D. Vance has acknowledged potential price hikes, but frames them as a necessary fix for inherited economic issues, suggesting deregulation and tax cuts could mitigate the damage. The consensus among top economists leans heavily towards negative outcomes. Is that Deutsche Bank and UBS economists like Paul Donovan see meaningful increase in recession risk for the U.S. with ripple effects globally as American consumers cut back and foreign exports face higher costs. In short, most top economists predict tariffs will be bad for the economy, citing higher prices, slower growth, and recession risks, with losses likely outweighing gains in protected sectors. Smaller groups see strategic value in boosting domestic industry, but the view lacks broad support. The outcome hinges on factors like retaliation, exchange rates, and how businesses adapt to variables that remain uncertain as of April 5th, 2025. All right. I don't know if anyone privately has gained anything that I have said about this, but one of the things that I noticed about the people, like during the 2024 primary Republican election, none of the people who ran, who were anti-Trump, never mentioned the left and how destructive the left is. It just baffles my mind why, a guy like Chris Christie seemed like an establishment type of candidate who didn't want to, because a lot of them said the same thing that the left said, a struggle for our democracy, and nobody seemed to gather that we were locked in our homes, and the only people allowed to come out of their homes and gather were a group of people. One of the leaders had said, "We are trained Marxists." For protests. Other than that, they wanted you to work at home. They didn't want you to even see your family for holidays, for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, all that stuff. But it was okay. I believe Dr. Fauci said he didn't know whether it was okay to protest or not. Or even, I think he even supported it. So when the election rolled around and all of these laws were changed, and then information started to slowly trickle out about the disease or the pandemic and the behavior of our leadership. And then they wonder why they think that they have to question election integrity. Are these people honest? Are these people on the up and up? And isn't it natural to question people, leaders like this and an establishment like this who seems to lie and distort whenever they have a chance? I'm just kind of curious. There is I feel that there is so much distortion out there that and Mirnan is here. I wonder if he wants to come in. If he does, he's welcome. I'll put him here. Put a little thing in there on the chat box here. And again, because the one thing I've always been kind of afraid about has been Trump's tariffs. Because I've always heard kind of negative things about that. Also put one in the little box here. Bear with me, folks. I'm just kind of new at this kind of thing. And also I'm getting a little thirsty. So I'm going to take a little bit of a water break. During that water break, I'm going to play a little bit of a song. I continue to play this song. This is about a man named Linwood who is a big fan of a gentleman by the name of Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller is a person who wrote things about white supremacy and believed that white supremacy was the answer for everything. But I kind of want to get into the fact that people kind of get lost in their thoughts and in their mind. So I'm going to play that real quick.
There's this.
That's not what I wanted to play.
A man named Linwood, a fervent follower of Neely Fuller Jr., a man who staked his life on the belief that white supremacy is the hidden engine of the world Linwood devours. Fuller's books and articles like their holy writ, trailing after them with the devotion of a fanatic, his mind locked in a cycle of obsession. But here's the catch, this isn't some noble pursuit of wisdom, it's a trap, a mental spiral where resentment festers, chaining the spirit to a story that distorts reality. Look closer, and the gulf between Neely Fuller Jr. and Linwood snaps into focus, as clear as a photograph split down the middle. Fuller's a lean, weathered figure, shaped by the Great Depression. A time when people ate from garbage cans, hunted rabbits, or went to bed with hunger clawing at their insides. A struggle in its rawest form, a fight for survival that leaves no room for pretense. Linwood, though, he's bloated, a child of excess, probably raised in a cushioned world where scarcity's just a word. One man was tempered by poverty's sharp edge, the other's drowning in gluttony, his battle self-made and inward. It's a stark divide. One's hardship was real, physical, a test of endurance. The other's is a mirage, a war waged against shadows of his own making. Fuller came up in an era where hunger wasn't a metaphor, it was a relentless, humbling force, not some petty grievance over a slight or an insult. Linwood's hunger, though, is different. It's a craving of the ego, a narcotic that keeps him hooked. It's the addiction to feeling wronged, the junkie's high master's moral clarity. He's caught in a loop, chasing a struggle that's less about the world and more about feeding his sense of self. Picture it, an endless oppression Olympics, where the only prize is another dose of outrage. In time, all that's left are others like him, fellow travelers strung out on the same delusion, scrambling for their fix of fabricated suffering, while the quiet, unvarnished truth drifts further out of sight. A Linwood bar, where the only Fuller Jr. and Linwood snaps into focus. It's a trap, a mental spiral where resentment festers, chaining his spirit to a story that distorts reality. Look closer, and the gulf between needy Fuller Jr. and Linwood snaps into focus, as clear as a photograph split down the middle. Fuller's a lean, weathered figure, shaped by the Great Depression, a time when people ate from garbage cans, hunted rabbits, or went to bed with hunger clawing at their insides. That struggle in its rawest form, a fight for survival that leaves no room for pretense. Linwood, though, he's bloated, a child of excess, probably raised in a cushioned world where scarcity's just a word. One man was tempered by poverty's sharp edge, the other's drowning in gluttony, his battle self-made and inward. It's a stark divide. One's hardship was real, physical, a test of endurance. The other's is a mirage, a war waged against shadows of his own making. Fuller came up in an era where hunger wasn't a metaphor. It was a relentless, humbling force, not some petty grievance over a slight or an insult. Linwood's hunger, though, is different. It's a craving of the ego, a narcotic that keeps him hooked.
Mirnan, what do you want to be called?
Myrnals. My name is
Myrnal.
Myrnals.
Mirnals. So do you ever get caught up in your own thoughts? Do you ever get self-obsessed within yourself?
What do you mean? I do get lost in my own thoughts a lot, but I don't know about obsessed.
Do you think that's good?
Well, maybe at times, like if I'm trying to focus on something, you know, and try to get it done right, but it can go overboard with some people.
Yeah, I think if you find getting rage over people you don't know. I mean, and sometimes on certain situations, there is a part of me that I'm seeing a society that is extremely hypocritical and egocentric. And if you look online, you'll definitely see it. And
Yeah.
it is unsettling on the powers that be and how they manipulate things and how they basically, like, it seems like that they see things through their own that they're fooling with people's perceptions, and that is something that I am upset about.
That's true. And people
And
don't think with logic anymore and stuff. And they're so extreme. And it's like you said, you have like the woke left and the woke right and all this authoritarian shit. It's horrible. Like I miss the America that I grew up in.
I'm a little bit older than you. I also miss the America that I grew up in. Um, and I primarily blame the left for doing this, because the thing of it is, the objective people have, you cannot be objective in the left. The left is, the left has a circular firing squad, and dealing with them is no good. And a lot of the times, the you know, I, the people who are anti-Trump, in my opinion, were not anti-left enough. Because I think these tariffs, look, I could be completely wrong on this, but when just about every economist is saying this is not a good idea, it more than likely may not be a good idea. I hope I'm wrong, because again, I want to, I want a good economy, and again, I think I think we have a choice between disaster and disaster, and that's not a good thing. And the left doesn't see itself as it is. It doesn't see itself as an oppressive group of people who want to shut people down and think that adults. The biggest reason that I'm against the left is they believe that Americans cannot decipher good or bad information for themselves, and they use words like fascism or racism. It's like, for them, they believe that freedom of speech, for them, that Hitler, if they allow the right to have too much freedom of speech, that either Hitler or Jefferson Davis will rise from the dead. The leader of the South will rise again if we allow freedom of speech. And it seems just absurd what is thought out there today. And I don't get it. These are not objective people. These are knee-jerk. These are very, in my opinion, very knee-jerk people that believe this kind of bloviated
I like
nonsense.
to call them communists. I like to call them communists.
You know what? The truth is that that communism. I mean, the progressives. That when the communists, and this is just a short thing that I've heard, that when communists in the 1950s, communists turned to progressives, and there are a lot of communistic ideas, are a lot of ideas that have either I've heard that have Marxist or communistic roots, and then they'll ask me to define communism or define Marxism, and I believe it's a struggle theory, and basically the leftists believe that they're always under a form of struggle, and habitual struggle is part of the progressive left's dogma, and the elites seem to much of the elites seem to believe this dogma, and they always protect. They always believe, like, hey, they're doing something for the underdog, and they call them protected classes. But is there any protection from the protected class? I'm going to play a little song here because it's getting close to Sunday, and those who are former Catholics are Mea Culpa. It's one of the little songs I'll play right now.
That's a good song.
Old man kneels down low, says these words real slow. Mea culpa, I know, fault I can't let go. May my errors show, deeds I can't bestow. Grievous fault will grow, burden truth I owe. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Through the tears I see ya, take the blame with no pausing. Through my trials I tread, guilty thoughts in my head, prayers that I have said haunt me till I'm dead. May my fault ring clear, no defense to cheer. Grievous faults I bear, speaking truth sincere. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Through the tears I see ya, take the blame with no pausing. Guilty thoughts in my head, prayers that I have said hold me till I'm dead. May my fault ring clear, no defense to cheer. Grievous fault I bear, speaking truth sincere. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Through the tears I see ya, take the blame with no pausing. Mea culpa, maxima culpa. Through the tears I see ya, take the blame with no pausing. My fault ring clear, no defense to cheer. Grievous fault I bear, speaking truth sincere. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, do these
There you go.
do these tariffs frighten you, Mirnan?
Well, I don't think it's going to be so bad. It's more so we're buying exports and stuff. Actually, I think this might actually turn out good because if we start making all the shit again, we make the best stuff, and that's going to be more jobs. It's going to help the economy. Pretty hopeful about it. And I'm tired of us taking care of these other fucking nations and having to fight for us and all this shit. They should have to fucking pay us tax. We've saved their ass from World War II. For the past 100 years, we've been saving the fucking whole world's ass. And I think it's time that they started paying their fucking taxes on that.
Well, I know that the tariffs that I remember, or that I've studied a little bit, are Hoover's tariffs. Hoover's tariffs, though, through the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, came at the dawn of the Great Depression, just a month after the stock market crash. The U.S. economy was already teetering Farmers were drowning in surplus from post-World War I. Overproduction in industrial sectors. What are you doing? Faced growing competition.
Nothing.
Okay. Smoot-Hawley jacked up tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods, raising the average duty on dutiable imports from 40% set by the 1922 Fordney-McCumber Act to nearly 60, a roughly 20% hike. The goal was to shield American farmers and industries from foreign competition, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Global trade was fragile, and countries like Canada, France, and Britain retaliated with their own tariffs. Canada hit 16 U.S. imports. France targeted American cars. International trade catered dropping 65% between 1929 and 1934. And while it didn't cause the depression that was already underway, most economists agree it deepened and prolonged it. What are you doing? It deepened and prolonged it by choking
Sorry,
on.
I'm at work.
Okay. But put yourself on mute if you're at work.
Okay.
And by choking off experts and spiking consumer prices. Trump's tariffs rolled out in his second term starting April 2025 hit a different world. Announced on April 2nd, 2025, the White House Rose Garden, they included a 10% baseline tariff on all imports effective April 5th, plus, and I can't say the word for the reciprocal tariffs targeting 60 odd countries with higher rates, like 34% on China added to existing 20%, totaling 64%, kicking on April 9th. The following first term moves, 2018 to 2019, on steel, aluminum, and Chinese goods. But the scale here is broader. The U.S. economy in 2025 isn't in a depression. Growth's been steady. Unemployment low. Through trade deficits hover over 1.2 trillion. Trump's pitch is America first, aiming to slash the deficit, boost manufacturing, and counter what he calls unfair trade practices. Currency manipulation, high foreign tariffs. Unlike the 1930s today's global trade is governed by the World Trade Organization and free agreements like the USMCA. Through Trump sidestepping those agencies with emergency powers under the International Emergency Economy Powers Act. Scoop Wise, Smoot-Hawley was Okay. So outcomes of Smoot-Hawley's fallout history: retaliation tanked U.S. export down to 61% by 1933. Farm foreclosure soared and unemployment hit 25%. Trump story unfolding: Canada vows counter tariffs, Mexico's muling it over, and the EU's got a strong plan. Markets dipped post announcement. S&P 500 fell 1.5% April 2nd, and economists warn of price hikes and possible slowdowns, though not a depression scale given today's diversified economy. Critics say it's Hoover Redux on steroids. Supporters argue Modern supply chains and U.S. leverage make it a different beast. Any comment, Mirnan? Or do you have a comment?
I'm not so worried about it. We really don't buy a whole lot of stuff from France anymore.
Well,
Actually, if you
I mean,
look at the bottom of most of our products, it's either from here, it's from China or Taiwan anymore.
yeah. Now, do you have a comment on the young kid in Texas that was stabbed?
Yeah, I'm quite angry about it. I think it's bullshit that a drug addict like George Floyd can sit there and be turned into this martyr when, he had a long criminal history. Yet this kid who's done nothing wrong, was a good student, A average, football star, all-American boy, and no one bats an eye. And I'm outraged.
Well, I do believe that people are innocent until proven guilty, and a song has to be added, and it's not been added to my clips, so I cannot play the song
They said
as of yet.
prosperity was just around the corner, but nobody told us it was a roundabout with no exit.
I song by Mr.
Wait a minute. I'm stop. You get on mute. Okay. Don't do that. If I want to hear your song, if I say play it, I want to hear you whistling to yourself. So yeah, I added a voice clip, but I cannot. It's not on the. It's not on the thing, and I don't want to refresh because that'll take me out. So what will I play here?
You should play Stop Crying on Television.
You know what I think I'm going to play? So you're a South African. This is an argument. By the way, there are issues in South Africa right now. And like I said, I believe that there is a lot of hypocrisy going on about racial issues, not just in America, but throughout the Western world. So I'm going to play this real quick.
You're a South African now, settled in England. And though I'm an American, I've got ancestral ties to that part of the world. You've got this way of brushing off the racial tension in South Africa toward whites. Like it's no big deal, just a minor footnote. The social decay, the chaos, the raw barbarism that's taken root there. You downplay that too, as if it's not the festering mess it's become. Instead you pin your departure on the tiny minority of whites, as if they're the root of it all. Talk about deluded, England's not exactly winning with you there either. You're either blind to what's what or just spinning a tale, and it's hard to tell which is worse. No shame in your game, I'll give you that, but without shame, where's the honor? South Africa now, settled in England. And though I'm an American, I've got ancestral ties to that part of the world. You've got this way of brushing off the racial tension in South Africa toward whites. Like it's no big deal, just a minor footnote. The social decay, the chaos, the raw barbarism that's taken root there. You downplay that too, as if it's not the festering mess it's become. Instead you pin your departure on the tiny minority of whites, as if they're the root of it all. Talk about deluded, England's not exactly winning with you there either. You're either blind to what's what or just spinning a tale, and it's hard to tell which is worse. No shame in your game, I'll give you that, but without shame, where's the honor? Where's the honor? Where's the honor? Talk about deluded. England's not exactly winning with you there either. You're either blind to what's what or just spinning a tale, and it's hard to tell which is worse. No shame in your game, I'll give you that, but without shame, where's the honor? Where's the honor?
All right. So there is another song that could be played. I'm going to see if I can get it up and working.
Both forgotten the people they were supposed to win.
Stop crime vision
Here we go.
and the internet.
He was the engineer of dreams, the blueprint king. Built bridges in Belgium, but he missed one thing. The markets crashed like a jazz man drunk, and he sat there still in a three-piece funk. No handouts, just handshakes. No bailouts, just mistakes. Told the hungry, work harder, son. While the dust ate crops and hope weighed a ton. Carnival of collapse, step right up, respond. Big games, big names, empty cups. Got the keys to the money machine. Billionaires betting on a bad vaccine. Round and round, the carousel spins. Same old clowns, just thicker skins. Fast forward to the Tower of Gold and glare. Reality show king with the billionaire stare. Cutting taxes like coupons, stack the debt. Call it great while the rent bounce checks. Stock buybacks, sugar highs. Tweet storm truths and bail out lies. When the virus hit, the crowd got quiet. He threw dollars at the fire and called it a diet. Hoover stood still. Trump danced on the hill. Both sold us dreams we could refill. Two different carnivals, same broken ride. Different suits but the same cold side. Carnival of collapse, place your bets. Response, debt roulette and internet threats. Who owns the corner with all that hope? Hedge fund profits in a slippery slope. Round and round, we scream and spin. Welcome back, same game, new.
Mean? Three you still there?
Yeah, I was just looking up on my Twitter, on my X, and the racial grift in America is over. So I was reading this in Salon. It's a leftist publication. A new study: white people lack empathy across socioeconomic standard. They're really trying to villainize us, and whether it's throughout history or anything else, white people are horned devils. Everybody else is haloed saints, and I'm a little sick of that kind of stuff. Whether it be in history or anything else. Anything to add before I call this show a day?
Mean.
Mirnan. Well, here we go. I like this one. So you're flapping your gums. This will be the last song, and then I'm going to call it off.
So you're flapping your gums, saying, I'm a champ at whining straight out of Elon's grimy little shithole. Alright, doll, spill it then. What's a polished dame like you doing slumming it in this filthy dive? You pin me as a cranky old pessimist, and hell maybe I am. That dark streak got beaten to me by my old man, a real bastard with an ego so bloated it could choke a horse. Growing up under that kind of swagger sharpened my nose for cluster B types. Histrionic, egocentric clowns, like I can smell sour milk curdling in the fridge. And Christ, the progressive left's got that stench wafting off him in waves. You dished out some high and mighty advice to your little snot-nosed brats, told them to ditch the screens and not end up like me. Well, I ain't got no rugrats that I know of. Probably couldn't handle a damn Kleenex box, let alone some squalling bastards. But if I did have a couple of my seed running around, here's what I growl at them over a warm beer. Your history kicked off when my load hit the jackpot, and it's done when the worms start chewing. Also, Kid Tough beats me any day, cause I've watched too many iron fists turn into trembling beggar's paws, and it ain't pretty.
All right, here's another one.
Me? I'm just a bastard who wants to hole up with a fifth of whiskey, a couple decent books, and maybe a woman who doesn't talk too much. That's it. No grand plans, no crusades, but then 2020 rolled in like a hangover you can't sleep off. Progressive leftists crawling out of every rotten plank, stinking up the joint. First the damn pandemic hit, and they locked us down like stray dogs, hanging me to my four walls while they preach safety like some sanctimonious priest. Then they took the internet, swinging their hate speech hammers and misinformation gavels, telling me what I can hear, what I can say, like I'm some snot-nosed kid who can't wipe his own ass out there. BLM riots tore up the streets, fire, fists, and noise, while guys like me sat trapped, sipping warm beer, watching the world burn through a cracked window. You want to protest? Fine, but don't drag me into your circus. I ain't no clown. It's stuck in my throat like a bad shot of gin, the way they boxed us in unless we waved their flag. Now the truth's leaking out slow, drip by drip, about the pandemic, about the movement, and I'm pissed, man. Hotter than a head in heat, feathers flying, these suits in charge. They don't even blink, don't even shrug, just keep shoveling their crap with a smirk. That's the real kick in the teeth. They ain't sorry and they never will be.
You know, the one thing that conservatives are soft on is the culture war. None of them, not even Trump, takes our side on this as much as I'd like him to. And the main reason I would vote conservative is the culture war. The left are egocentric, cluster B behaving buttholes who think they know what is right for everyone. They're creepy, they're weird, and they're nasty. Anyway, I'm going to play MAGA Civil War to hear us out, and then I'll go.
Elon's rockets reaching stars. Vivek's ideas changing bars. Tech giants call for open doors. Who fights next in this grand tour? In the streets they shout and scream, dreams of silicon gleaming team. Up their signs, watch the battle, read the lines. Visas bound to bend and sway. Protests weaving through the noise. Echoes clash like shouting boys. In the streets they shout and scream, dreams of silicon gleaming team. MAGA crown holds up their signs, watch the battle. Within the night, which way flows the future's light? In the streets they shout and scream, dreams of silicon gleam and team. MAGA Watch the battle, read the lines.
Well, it seems like, oh, Mirnan, you're back. What happened?
I lost connection.
That happens, man. It happens more and more.
It does.
And Liam Johnson said, what's your take on Jesse Lee Peterson? My take on Jesse Lee Peterson is god damn, man. If you're gonna do stuff like, I mean, like, you're making noise in the background, so yeah. My thoughts on Jesse Lee Peterson is his views on anger are rather helpful, but you cannot. I don't believe that a human being can. Oh yeah, thanks for the. Yeah, you're welcome for the video. But my view on Jesse Lee Peterson is his view on releasing anger. I don't believe is realistic. Anger is a necessary, and you know, it is necessary. I believe in anger management and helping you deal with both your fear and your anger. It's something that I think you always deal with um, because by nature, people are going to make you angry, and that's part of life and how you deal with it, and how you function within the society. Mirnan, how do you deal with your anger?
I typically just roll me a joint and suck it the fuck up. You know,
There you go.
sometimes that's what you gotta do.
I guess. And yeah, thanks for the videos. From yeah, okay. So yeah, um, you know, it's I have been upset lately online about a few things, and it's uh, the way people think and the way they process. And I believe, like I said, our elites should have known better, but they don't. And now, again, groups like the ADL, they want to make decisions for what people can decipher online, and they never have any form of public Q&As where people can hear from them, and they can say perhaps they're afraid because they're Jewish. But Ben Shapiro goes out there, people from PragerU go out there, but the ADL, they don't do it. And they might talk about Israel, but they will not talk about their censorship practices. And that is what angers me the most. Anything before I end this show?
You should play Stop Crying on television. I like that.
I'm
It's
going
a
to
good,
play Stop Crying, and that'll be the last song that I play, is
it's a
Stop
good
Crying
song.
on
It
Television.
should
And the thing of it is, I think, again, there is too much of people crying on television and on the internet. All this sob fest. Again, crying is necessary, but it's something that's done in rare occasions. And sometimes it's kind of like you go into the bathroom, do it in private. And again, you know, funerals, maybe movies, but there's too much of it from our public figures, particularly from our news. Stop doing that shit. It really makes you look stupid. Quit doing that nonsense.
unrehearsed apology, time to monetize. Your pain's a brand, your grief's a show. You cry into the camera, throw money. Is this real?
No.
Is this pain?
No.
See, or is this a Netflix deal in the making? Turn the volume up, it's primetime regret. Another life meltdown, place your bets. Stop crying on television and the other. Watch we see through your tears and your empty thrive. Yeah, every soap story comes with a check, and we ain't buying your pain. Not yet. Oh look, the influencers weeping again. I swear I'm so broken, like, comment, send. Eat your suffering, sell it as proof. A clown with a tissue in a soundproof booth.
These tears are heavily edited. Do you want to skip this trauma? Pay for premium.
Stop crying on television and the other. What we see through your tutors and your empty thread. Every soap story comes with a check, and we ain't buying your pain. Not yet.
This has been another episode of Manufactured Misery. Tune in next breakdown.
All right, folks. That will do it for our show. But I just pointed out, because he disagrees with, Liam Johnson says he disagrees with anger, and anger could be used for good, self-righteous. But I think that people that are, I disagree with him that you can stop being angry, and anger is a good tool for self-defense. But I will, and Hake says angry people cannot be trusted. I have a more moderate take. I believe that people who are prone to anger are not to be trusted. Any thoughts before I call the show?
There's an old saying, and that is, cool heads prevail. It's good to hold back your anger, even if you are angry, and just think about it logically and do stuff accordingly.
You are Patriot Gregging, and I think I'll just end on the Stoic Heart.
In the palace, shadows stand, Marcus with a thoughtful plan. Life is fleeting, moments spent, just a man. Pages filled with silent cries, wisdom in the ancient skies, eyes that see through countless lies, just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise each morn with a gentle hand, life we sculpt from shifting sand. In the garden calm he roams, meditates on broken bones, legacy in humble tones, just a man. Victory and glorious cheers, haunted still by daily fears, washing sins with silent tears, just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise Rise each one with a gentle hand. Life we sculpt from shifting sand. Victory and glorious cheers, haunted still by daily fears, washing sins with silent tears. Just a man. You're just a man under the sun, seeking peace before you're done. Rise each one with a gentle hand. Life we sculpt from shifting sand.
Thank you for listening. And objective people, rise up, please. Rise up.